Welcome to this week's Practice at Being a Better Teacher section. I worded that terribly, but we want to continue on this process of how to use look for, search, or identify questions to help engage our students because we're using it with a purpose. Our students know why we're asking it, and so they feel more confident when they go into the scriptures. So this week, let's build upon that, but let's look at how we can use it in our lesson for John chapter 13, verses 14 through 17. In John chapter 13, verses 14 through 17, it's a great lesson about teaching the importance of the atonement of Jesus Christ. But as you look at this lesson, it gives you this activity, the Savior's atonement. Read the following scriptures and spend 10 to 15 minutes. That, if you just stop right there, our students are going to, it's almost like a death sentence at 6 a.m. in the morning. I want you to study for 10 minutes. Now, some classes and some students might think that's the greatest thing in the world. The majority of, through my experience, would struggle with 10 to 15 minutes of silent reading in the morning. So how can we help our students engage? What are some practical ways to help our students engage? So here's a list that I will copy and put it in the comments, or put it in the details below the video. So just click on the more and you'll see these copied down there below. If for 10 to 15 minutes we're inviting our students to read, here are some practical ways to help our students engage, but this is a way to help them engage after you give them the search, look for, or identify question. We'll get to that and what it looks like in the curriculum in just one second. But popcorn reading and ball toss, what these are if you don't know what they are. Popcorn reading is, we're reading verses 10 through 15, and we're going to read one verse. Jesse's going to start, and then Jesse calling another student by name, and then they'll read that verse. And so they cover the 5 verses just by calling each other by name and then reading that one verse. Again, keep in mind that you may have students who feel very uncomfortable reading out loud, and make it obvious for everyone. A ball toss. You have an object such as a ball or something that is not destructive that they could toss to one another. Hey, you catch this and now it's your turn to read. You throw it, it's now their turn to read. You have examples of where it might be appropriate that you as a teacher read a comment or read the verses, and our students are actively listening, looking for, identifying, searching for. Choral reading is if you have a short section, you read it together. You could have names on popsicle sticks that you pull out a name. All right, John, it's your turn now. Summarizing. It is, you've read it through. We're going to summarize this big chunk of reading, but then focus on 1 or 2 individual things. And then also a 3-2-1 strategy. 3 things that I've learned, 2 interesting things that I read, or 1 question I have and still have as I search, look for, and identify. So let's go to our curriculum once more. And I'll have those practical strategies underneath this video. But if we're reading about the Savior's atonement and keeping that in mind, what would be some practical engagement activities if I'm inviting my entire class to read these verses about the atonement of Jesus Christ? This might be a great 3-2-1 strategy. This might be a great popcorn reading, but with the disclaimer, hey, you guys, we're studying about the atonement. So the popcorn is just a way to add variety. So make sure that you are keeping a reverent or a sacred aspect about what we are about to study. So we go through these verses and you can use different activities and maybe even take a break. Then you have a great comment. Elder Callister taught this. Hey, you guys, here's where I'm going to use the teacher reads and you look for this. What was the purpose of the atonement of Jesus Christ? Look for that as I read this statement as the teacher, you follow along as a class. Great questions down here, great activities. So I invite you, brothers and sisters, to go through now and use the list to help your students engage. Ask the look for, ask the identify, ask the search question. You know what it's supposed to do. And then your students can have different ways to engage with the reading material. So don't be afraid to call a student by name because you're preparing them with a good look for, identify, or search question for what the answer is going to be. They aren't going to be left, oh, I don't know what to say. I'm looking for this. What did you see as you looked for this in verses fill in the blank? So brothers and sisters, these are some ideas to help you engage with your students this week as a lesson that has a lot of reading material. I hope that this will be helpful. Please leave me some comments in the comment section below. How can I make these teacher practice videos or how to be a better teacher series a little bit more effective for you as a teacher? Thank you for all that you do. We'll talk to you next time.